The Energized Show, up the Irish.
Okay, here we go. Okay, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Energized, brought to you by Or Kings Competitions. Ross,
are you intoxicated or something?
Introduce the guest, man.
Today we are bringing you the hottest free agent on this island. It's the one and only. It's the Lamb. It's Brian Manning. Brian, do you feel like you are the hottest free agent in Ireland right now?
Yeah, I do, man. I really do. I think there's no one doing it like me at the moment, you know. Inside the cage, outside the cage, the walkouts, the performances, 5 fights in a year, finishes left, right and centre. So, you know, there's no one doing it like me at the moment.
What do they call you now? The jiu-jitsu fella, is it?
The jiu-jitsu fella, boy. The choker, brother. The choker.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I think the biggest prospect, I think in Ireland right now, you know?
Yeah, well, first of all, welcome back to the show, man. And second of all, we have to get into the fight that you won last week at Virtuous. It was a short notice fight. Can you tell us how this all came about? Because you were saying that you were going to go to Cage Warriors, you're saying Octagon was another option, and then all of a sudden you're on Virtuous.
I know. We'll get into the Cage Warriors thing in a couple of minutes' time, but we'll go through the Virtus thing first. It was like me and Sean Kelly going back and forth for a long time. He wanted a fight. I wanted a fight because he was talking shit. And it came to a stage where Cage Warriors was going to happen, and it was agreed with Jumbo Sausage. It was agreed, and he got injured. And then the interest was gone from Cage Warriors, and I said, I'll keep tipping away, I'll keep training, and I'll see what comes up. And all of a sudden, this is mad, listen to this, boys. I was in a gym sparring on a Friday, right? I was sparring away, and I knew that El Hoochie, whatever, El Bum fella, he was fighting Sean Kelly, right? And I was saying to the boys in the gym, I was like, do you know, no, boy, what if your man could pull out of that fight? I would say, I'll step in, no problem. The next day, we see news that your man pulls out of the fight. Your man El Hoochie and fucking El Lamb stepped up to the plate. Do you know?
Did you reach out? Did you reach out to Virtuous, or did they really reach out to you?
I just put up a story, man. But remember, do you see the picture I put up? I put up a story saying, "Oh yeah, I might know a guy." And then he was straight away. You know, it was 80 kg, and we're trying to get 81, man. Trying to get 80, maybe 82 to start. Trying to get 81, but they just wouldn't budge. And I said, "Fuck it, let's do 80 kg. It's going to be horrendous, but let's do it." I was 93.3 that day. And that's how the fight came out. Just through Sean Kelly, and then my promoter or my manager was on to Virtus, and then we got a deal in place, and it was done the next day.
Happy days, fast move from the O'Callaghan fella.
Also, it was Barry O'Callaghan, Alpha Fighter Management, the best around. More people coming our way.
We were actually speaking to Jerry very briefly at Cage Warriors in Dublin the week before. Or when was that? Was that the day before? The week before? I actually can't remember the exact dates. But I was saying like you hit gold getting Brian Manning on the card versus El Hoochie, as you call him, because at the end of the day, like that was, you know, only one side of the coin had interest on it. People were there to see Sean Kelly get the win.
Exactly.
And now the whole script has been flipped on its head. Like this is the fight that has
it's the main event.
Island. Yeah, the whole island's talking about it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It was voted the people's main event when.
Do you know what I mean? It was, and even like from everything that happened, it was seen like the main event, didn't it?
Yeah, and like we actually had loads of people texting us being like, "Is the Brian Manning fight happening? Is the Brian Manning fight happening? Like, is he on the card?" I was like, all signs are to say yes. Like I've heard from the promoter and stuff like that. It's more just like, to me, the only issue was like, oh geez, like it's an 80 kg, so like that's obviously a tough cut. You know what I mean? So we were seeing that, and obviously, look, you made the weight and that, but I suppose like this fight got very personal. Do you feel like obviously you guys fought an amateur as well? Yeah. Was there beef from then, or the beef was start from here?
It was just kind of fight beef and amateurs, you know, just kind of a bit of trash talk and it's not. But this did get personal. No, it might have been more personal to me than him. And like as I said, we said some things in messages that weren't very nice, and we mentioned some personal things, and family got involved, and you know, and it was, look, like you can always kind of, it wasn't to a stage it could be McGregor where there's hate, you know what I mean? But I was like kind of fucking, I knew I wasn't gonna be all handy dandy with him after the fight, even, you know. And it boiled over, and as I said, I went from the weight cut, and just how they kind of were treating me with the weight cut, and then with the 0.1s and 0.2s and laughing at me in the group, and what I'm nearly killing myself here doing a weight cut, you know what I mean? My cheeks are gone like that, and my foot, I look tiny. And then the boys are just trying to do everything they could to hinder me, which is, look, smart from their point of view too. And it nearly fucking did. It nearly fucking did hinder me, because I did feel a little slightly off in there. Even though I performed well, I felt like my big right hand wasn't clicking as much. I was just a little bit like slower with my reactions, I think. Even though I got a good performance, but I think I'm a different animal at 84 kg. I'm just a different animal at middleweight.
Yeah, no, you're definitely an animal in there. They don't call you the lamb for nothing.
The laminal, they're calling me now, yeah.
In fairness, we even have people text. I have people text me after the fight going like, Brian Manning is the funniest man in Irish MMA, and said he's the most entertaining man in Irish MMA. And like these are texts I'm getting off people who like aren't in the gym, like have never trained with you, just like random people just texting me this. And like, I'm like, geez, the fella is turned into a superstar in this island. It really is. Tell us this. Actually, Barry, you're the one who actually noticed it. The walkout, Barry. How funny was that?
Yeah, the way you decided to use Mr. Big Stuff, and Sean actually used the same song as well. Like you're literally there's
you were goading from the off.
No stone is left unturned with Brian Manning when he enters the arena.
No, that was brilliant, man. The walkout, I had that planned, and I said, you know, it's very short notice to be dressing up in a mask and this and that. And I said, I know exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to use his song, remix into War, and then the bum stuff. And then at the back, because it was like bum stuff, and then, you know, the song goes, who do you think you are? And then turn around, Mr. Bum Stuff. So I kind of just played in, everything played perfect. And the way, so it wasn't even, you know, the way I was doing this, I knew the camera was going to be on bum stuff, and I was like, I have to hide it for a minute. And then I started doing the rocking with the tune, and then Liam behind me he was in my car, my teammate. Behind me started doing the same thing, rocking with the tune, and then that just clicked. That's just something that just happened. And then with bum stuff, and it just clicked well, man. It was one of my best walkouts, I think, to be honest.
Sometimes the simplest are the most effective, you know what I mean?
Whereas people expected, do you know what? And it was an unexpected walkout. People expected me to come out in a fucking. There was people texting me, right, from North, up from fucking Oma, and they're like, "What mask are you gonna wear this time?" I was like, you know, no. Just it would just it's too expected. So to mix it up would be good.
No, the walkouts were done very well as well. So like Virtuous were doing a great thing there, weren't they, Ross?
Average, man, weren't they?
Yeah, in fairness, one thing I will say that the production and like watching the stream on Virtuous
10 out of 10, man.
So good, really
compared to Cage Conflict. Sorry, go on.
Crystal clear. Really big fan of it. I thought I think it was Just Content. I think the lads who did it. I think they did a really good job.
Yeah. Brilliant, man. And the way they show the walkouts, like Cage Conflict and a couple of other promotions in Ireland, they miss the walkouts. Do you get me? They don't show the walkouts, which is a big part of fighting. Like the walkout into the fight, you have to see the walkouts. Like what are fights without walkouts? You know what I mean? It would be shit. Same with like Paul Hughes, like his walkout was massive buzz, and it just creates a different atmosphere. You need a big walkout. And other shows, I think, should take a leaf of the Virtuous book and start recording the walkouts and everything leading up to the fight. You know,
Gladiators did that as well. The walkout as well.
Did they record a walkout properly? Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember who else.
Yeah.
And look again, like, you know what I mean, like every promotion does things different. You know what I mean? And like I always like to think that the promotions should be looking to constantly develop and learn, and like, you know what I mean. And you know what, I think different fight promoters have a different like mentality and a different approach to it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I feel, and like this is me not saying the other shows aren't, but I feel like your fighting championship and Cage Conflict are very like sort of pure, like it's all about the actual in cage action, if you know what I mean. That's what they're about, you know what I mean. I'm not saying the others aren't, but I feel like they are really putting on some like the pinnacle of Irish MMA, and the others are as well. Like obviously, you versus Sean Kelly is like an absolutely unbelievable fight. Every promotion up and down the country would love to put on that fight.
Great domestic fight.
Yeah, it really was. And just another thing to touch on with Virtuous as well, because I know last week, you know, we sort of spoke about the Sean Kelly incident after the fight, and we can get to that in a second. And sort of, maybe it was portrayed.
That's why everyone's here, man.
Yeah, that is why everyone's here. And you know what? It was portrayed that we were being actually negative towards Virtuous, and that actually wasn't the point of it. The point of it was when you turn pro, there's standards that you should be adhering to, and at the end of the day, like they said, like this was their first professional fight, so obviously they're going to learn and develop as time goes on as well. That's not doesn't mean that they did a bad job. It just means
of course,
new things that they didn't probably perceive, and they probably never put on because they're not only doing amateur fights. Rarely amateur fights will have that level of bad blood. You know what I mean? So like it's things to learn from. But again, like I think another one in the Lamb's checkbook. This was the most pay-per-views Virtuous have ever sold for their 4 shows.
Are you serious? Get about that. Get up. And I got a little bit of that for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. and I'm pretty sure it was.
I made it, boys. I made it.
And I'm pretty sure it was
pay-per-views.
I'm pretty sure it was the most tickets that they've ever sold to a show. I think they did well over 800 tickets.
Massive show.
So, like,
even I got messages off them like that. I'm a big reason for the success of the show. You know. And
of course.
I'm my bonus too.
And I feel like they felt that like they got some negative backlash off it. And look, unfortunately, when things like that happen, sometimes that's the talking point afterwards, and when that's not what people are looking for. You know what I mean? And then when things like that happen, people look deeper.
That was my only kind of regret of it. That. The performance was talked about, of course, but it does get overshadowed. Like when Khabib smashed McGregor, like no one was talking about it. They were talking about the melee after it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Dylan Dennis got the headlines.
Yeah. Whereas I could just what is that?
Dylan Dennis being jumped on by Khabib got the headlines.
Yeah. Right shot for Dennis. He's a fucking clone there. But it's just sometimes it gets overshadowed. I know my screen's gone a bit dark. There, no, sorry, there, no. But And with in regards to the show, like it was a great show, and like all the stuff afterwards. No, I think, right, I've no animosity towards Kelly, right, and I think he was hard done by. If I'm going to be honest, Irish promotions trying to ban him for 12 months. I know it's not really official, but shows won't put him on for 12 months time, which is a bit harsh. Look, what happened. It shouldn't have probably happened, and. Again, I'm not making any apologies for it. Do you know what I mean? I got the piss taken out of me, and there was a lot of trash talk and this and that. And I did what I did. Adesanya did it to Costa. Pereira does it. McGregor, Khabib. These things happen, and the reaction afterwards, like he reacted bad, but it was just handbags at the end of the day, man. Like your Jess was in there, wasn't it for security reasons? Whoever the fuck is talking that kind of shit, saying like that Jess was in there to separate fighters. Jess was just in there to do her job, to clean the face and all that. And then it kicked off, so she was right in the middle of it. So I don't think she's the type to like run away. Do you know? She was just trying to stop, and then she just kind of got gored over, like, and straight away, because he in his face, he was like, "Fuck," do you know? He didn't mean to do that, and he was apologetic. And like, I haven't spoke to Kelly yet. You know, I haven't spoken to him, but I'm sure we'll speak in time. And like I'd like to squash it with him, you know what I mean? And I do think he's after improving. He's definitely after improving. It was a tough fight for me. Like even though I landed more, I was clever on the feet, I was damaging shots. I got to finish, but he made me work, man. And he was a tough bit of stuff in there. We go from bum stuff to tough stuff.
You know what? I was actually thinking the same. I actually thinking like Sean Kelly's doing very well in here. He actually
can take a smack, man. He can take a
really
smack.
Nice leg kicks as well.
There,
like your leg kicks were sort of the difference maker. Well, he was landing well. He was, as you said, he was making you work in there. Like at certain stages, I was like, Jesus, because obviously from watching the first fight, and then like you know, you can only sort of go on what you've seen so far, and seeing your pro career versus his pro career. He fought your man Jordy Heath. I felt like you fought higher caliber competition in the meantime, and I was like, look,
Yeah.
Brian Mann's going to be a heavy favourite going in here, and I
Yeah,
thought he
yeah,
made
yeah.
it very competitive for the
He
duration
certainly
of the
put up a
fight.
fight. He certainly put up a fight, and like the first round even was close enough. He whipped up a couple of head kicks, and like I had a couple of lumps on my fucking head all week. You know, my leg is fairly sore. He caught me a couple of big leg kicks, and a few head kicks, and he was better. Like his clinch game is strong. He's a strong clinch. He's very good kicks. He's a good grappling. I think he's purple belt or something. That's why I didn't play into the guard too much. I didn't really go for the takedowns this time because I was nearly caught the last time. But what I will say to him, no, I think I'm on a different level, boys. I think I'm on a different level to every middleweight in Ireland, if I'm going to be honest. I think I'm nearly UFC ready right now. Right, I'm going for the contender series fairly soon. That's the plan, and get to the UFC within the next year and a half. But for Kelly, right, if he wants to make something to the game, my advice to him is get a boxing coach, do a rake of pads, do a rake of boxing spares, get better at boxing, and have better conditioning. His cardio, if he can prove his boxing and his cardio, he can do something in this game. Because I outworked him, I had more cardio. That just shows the level of work I'm putting in. And I was slightly, like my cardio was definitely a bit hindered from the weight cut. And I was still able to push more. You know, I had more in the engine. Do you get me? So if he's going to listen to this, that would be my advice to him to improve his game.
Tell us this: would you ever extend the olive branch and invite him down to Cork for a bit of training?
We'll see. Maybe so. I'm sure we'll talk in time, man. As I said, we didn't speak a word yet, but I'm sure we'll talk in time.
Yeah.
You know, let bygones be good bygones, Brian.
That's exactly it. Like look at the result. Look at the result of what happened. Like obviously things got, like as you said, it turned into a bit of handbags.
Yeah.
It was like it's a fight at the end of the day. Like things are going to be heated no matter what. And now it's just like bygones are bygones. You're willing to move on. I'm sure Sean will as well. Which is actually a good thing about MMA. It was the only issue we brought up last week. It was just like the pros need to realize that like a lot of people were tuning in to see that fight, and like when something like that happens, people are going to have an opinion on it. And like look,
it takes away from that what we're actually doing. You know what I mean?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
We kind of look like two fucking street fighters. Look like two street heads. You know, just like it takes away from the art of the game.
Look, it is what it is.
But we are fighters at the end of the day, man. We are fighters, like, you know.
I know. So it's a tough one. It is a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're going to like this is what sells too. Like, remember Dana White? Oh my God, disgusting. Khabib or Conor putting a dolly through the window, and then he's fucking the dolly video embedded.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
As promotion. They use that as the
like these things happen. We are fighters, like, and it's not going to be the last. You know what I mean? Like these things do happen, but it's maybe
you know what?
It's good in the build up. When after the fight, it probably should be just nipped in the bud there and then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, pre-fight good, post-fight not so good.
Exactly.
It is. Yeah.
Sean Kelly won't be the last person who's wound up by the lamb either.
I'm Paddy McRory texting the Alpha Fighter page. I've Jumbo Sausage trying to get onto me. I've the whole FAI wound up. I'm winding up everyone in Ireland, bro. Yeah, every middleweight, every welterweight. But that's
the thing we have to get into as well. When you were leaving the cage, Jordan O'Neill came up to you and he
sausage
had it back and forth as well. Like what?
He must me had a broken hand. I was just after doing fucking heavy rounds, you know, about 8 minutes of fighting. Come out of the cage, and he does it just for his own social media, just to be like, oh, I'm the tough man. I'd go up and face off with Brian Manning trying to get a fight out of him. What happened to you in April, bro? What happened to you in April? You were injured, was it? So, right, how am I supposed to take this FAI guys serious? I have a fight booked to Sean McCormack, right, and he gets injured 6 days out. He gets injured. And then I knocked Delmar Silva out in violent fashion. Jordan O'Neill, I'll fight him. And next thing, he gets injured. What am I supposed to do? So, yeah, that's that. And then Cage Warriors just skipped by. And then I got the Virtuous fight. And now I can do whatever the fuck I want to do.
So you were originally meant to fight Jordan in Dublin?
Yeah, it was. It was agreed, yeah.
That would have been a great fight.
He agreed, I agreed, and it fell through.
Were you disappointed to see that obviously you didn't get on the card?
No.
And then Paddy McCurry fight fell out as well. Then,
yeah.
You know,
imagine I jumped into that.
Oh, stop. But look, at the end of the day, I think Brian Manning versus a FAI fighter needs to happen at some stage.
Yeah, definitely. And Jumbo Sausage is the one. I'd love to take that fight. Man. I'd fight him in my fucking back garden. And we see, like, when I see him coming up to me in the cage like that and his shit talk online, like, if I see him outside too, I won't be too friendly, you know what I mean? So
would that have to be on Cage Warriors or
that's
like
the
obviously-
that's the only bollocks. Like he's coming up to me thinking he's my manager. Yeah, sign for Cage Warriors, bro. I don't have to do fuck all you tell me to do, pal. Yeah. So no, think of it, man. I like Cage Warriors is definitely an option there, right? But I love fucking fighting all around the place. Joe, might go to this promotion, that promotion. I'm like a dirty, filthy whore, getting tossed around from promotion to promotion. Do you know? And
well, that's the thing. That's the thing we were saying last week, Brian. We were like, this fight, yourself against Jordan Neal, would be a huge fight for any of the promotions to put.
100%.
Like
100%.
Like
Doesn't have to be Cage Warriors. Like, yeah. I don't have to have
every
the
promoter
contract.
right now. It should be like trying to book Hughes as a main event anywhere in Ireland, let alone Cage Warriors.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. It's no prelim, is it? It's no prelim fight. That fight. Yeah, be a great fight. But like realistically talking as well, like let's say now I'm injured, right? I have a broken hand. Like I don't know when I'm going to be back. All right, I don't know when I don't know how bad the break is. My knuckles kind of flattened and stuff, but I'm still going to train. I'm still going to be fit. So when the time is right, then I'm going to come straight back. And whatever option is there. There's options. We're talking about Spain. We're talking about going abroad. And it might be just one fight deals in places. But realistically talking, boys, right? And we might have a couple of contacts here and there. Who knows? I'll say no more. If I get another knockout or another 2 knockouts, I'm aiming for the Contender Series. I'm aiming to be on the Contender Series at 5-6. There's fellas, they're looking for bigger guys too. Middleweights, light heavyweights, they're going on the Contender Series at 3-0, at 2-1, at 6-0. You know what I mean? I'm that already. So I'm looking at on the Contender Series, going in, cleaning out the boys on the Contender Series and getting onto the UFC. That's my next 1.5, 2-year plan. Do you know? So whatever way it comes about, I don't give a fuck. But I chase no one.
There we have it. There we have it. The alarm is on.
How about that?
Fire.
How about that? How about that?
That's pretty, Brian, that's pretty entertaining, man. I can't deny that.
Yeah,
when do you actually think you could be back competing? I know you said, I know your hands, you broke your hand, but like, when are you sort of looking? Because like the people want to know when are you going to be back fighting again, man.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just, look, I like to keep the momentum going, but you know what? It gives me perfect time. I'm going back to fights. I'm 5 fights in 1 year, 5-0, and like it's good now maybe to take a little, not time off training, but trying new things, even getting better again. Because you see, every fight my level goes up. You see I'm way smarter in there now. I'm way more composed, way more calm. I'm landing killer shots, and my mind is always on the finish. You know what I mean? The decision motion is gone. My mind is always on the finish. So I'm a different animal now. And if I can improve even more, see my elbows in that fight. Did you see the elbows?
Yeah.
Savage elbows too in that fight. So I'm improving these little things bit by bit. I might start running a couple of knees, because a couple of times, Sean Kelly, right? I had a right hand going for straight right, and he'd duck and kind of shoot. But if I had my knees going, if I could throw the right hand and he shot, and I'd knee him in the fucking face, you know? Could have got a KO. I love a KO. I could have got a KO, but my hand was broke. But like, do you know what I mean? I'm as tough as nails, boys. Round 1 I break my hand, round 2 I get the finish. So yeah, we'll see what's when I'm back in there. I'd say August, to be honest. I'd say around August.
And tell us this, if Cage Warriors came back to Dublin in September, would you like to get on that card?
Maybe so. Maybe so, if they come back to that was my real appeal to Cage Warriors, man. Cage Warriors Dublin, Ireland. Have my own crowd will fucking march up there, you know? I'll have a big crowd going up there and this and that. Whereas I go to Octagon, even Octagon is still a viable option, but like, who's going to go to fucking Prague? Do you know what I mean? Who's going to go to fucking
Bratislava?
Munich, you know? Yeah. At this stage of my career, you know? I'm slowly going to build into a star, man, but I'm not there yet. Like, people aren't ready to jump and spend their week's wages on me watch me fight just yet, you know? But I will get there. So, like, yeah, Cage Warriors Dublin is a good if they come back. Maybe that could be an option.
There's also an opportunity at Akuma Fighting Championships on the 23rd of August as well. That would need a main event as well.
Who are you going to call? Lamb chop.
Man, how much did you love that Ghostbuster reference?
I loved it, man. I absolutely loved it. I straight away I was on cutting out heads and put myself on the Ghostbusters thing. Brilliant, boys.
If you had more time, you definitely would have worn a Ghostbuster suit, wouldn't you?
100%. I was on the Amazon now searching Ghostbusters gear. Fuck's sake. Imagine walking out with my going Ghostbusters pack. Yeah. It'd be gassed by.
Brian, like, you're one of the most entertaining fighters in Ireland right now for a reason. Is there anything you want to say to the people tuning in right now and they're actually looking forward to seeing you back in action?
Yeah. Just keep watching my content, keep watching what I'm gonna do next, and I'll always keep you on your feet. And another big performance in the next fight. I'm always looking for a finish, and I'm always up to something outside the cage and inside the cage. And a shout out to my gym, MMA Cork. Where would I be without him? Nearly 5 years at this game now. I'm a different person. I'm a different man. I'm a different animal. And shout out to them, my coach Jack Maguire. Shout out to Alpha Fighter Management, and shout out to Barry O'Callaghan. And we're going all the way to the top. All the way to the top, boys.
Absolutely. Sorry, actually, never touched on it. Absolutely terrible by us, but even worse by you as a teammate. Jack Maguire with a big win at the weekend. How proud were you of Jack getting it done in one in the most random fight location over in
random, and even the stream looked like it. You know, it was unwatchable. Nearly
32-10.
Oh, sick. And next thing, I'm very proud of Jack, man. He's a fucking beast, and you know, I know we all know where he's going to. Like he's going to the UFC as well, and he's just a different animal. Even sparring, I've a shocking time sparring him half the time. You know what I mean? I have a shocking time. His pace and his just how good his like people see his striking. He's knocking fellas down all the time and getting knockouts, but his grappling is insane. And think of it, he's been around a fucking long time. Do you know what I mean? He's been around a long time, and yeah, he's world class, man. He's world class, and 3 finishes now since his return. So maybe 2 of us. You'll see 2 of us on the Contender Series.
Yeah,
fighting each other on the Contender Series. Catch away at both we're doing, yeah.
Learned everything he ever knows from Johnny Duggan.
Yeah, that's it. Johnny Duggan as well, bye. Shout out Johnny Duggan. He'll be fighting as well soon. There's a lot of activity coming our way out the gym. Like we were kind of went quiet there for a while, but everything's kind of kicking off now again. Do you know? The summer now should be big shows.
Obviously, you're the man in Cork at the moment, and Elite Fighting Championships is coming back again soon.
Bollocks, I won't be on that.
No, well, I know, but have you discussed with Barry? Is there a role that you can do there, whether you're on comms or whatever you're at?
Yeah, you want to see just a walkout. You just want to see just me walk out, no fight, yeah.
Well, like who knows what you do, but I feel like you should play some part in the show one way or the other.
I will. I'll be cornering. I'll be helping out. You'll see me on the streams and stuff, and you'll see me a lot at the show. Definitely, man. You have to get down to a show, boys. You should get down to one of the shows.
Yeah, we chat with Barry, so we're going to make it happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You don't like Cork. You don't like Cork.
Tell him like the lamb. We don't come cheap. We don't come cheap.
You know yourself.
The finest escorts around, boys. Yeah.
That's it.
Brian. What a man. For the people tuning in, make sure to check out Brian's Instagram page. Like, he's one of the most entertaining people on this island right now, and he's undefeated for a reason. So, Brian.
And the best media platform, the best Irish media platform around, Energized Show. Check it out. Train by day, Energized Show by night.
The Energized Show, up the Irish.
So, Ross, that was Brian Manning. Your favourite Corkonian?
Yeah, he's on fire at the moment, and I can't wait to see what he does next. I suppose we dubbed him as, Europe's and Ireland's hottest free agent, and we're going from Brian Manning being the hottest free agent to the former hottest free agent, who is now the face of PFL Europe. He is the one and only. He is big news, Paul Hughes. He headlined at PFL Belfast at the weekend against Bruno Miranda, and he got it done in one. It was an absolute sensational finish, and just the whole show from the walkout to the build-up, it was all centered around him. The fans were there in their droves, pre-party, post-party. This man is really, he's really taken PFL by storm. And I think you touched on it before, Baz. I don't think PFL knew how much of a star they had when they signed Paul Hughes, and now they know. Like, if you didn't know, now you know. Seeing the reception in his hometown is something that we haven't seen in a while. That to that scale, Basmo.
No, it was an unbelievable performance. Like last week, I thought he'd probably bring it into the second round, but I saw in the build-up he said it's going to be a first-round knockout, and he got it done quite sharpish. I think it was under 50 seconds, and the arena erupted. The question is, like, where does Paul go from here? Because he proved like Miranda's not in his level, and like he called out Usman Nurmagomedov next. Like, do you think the Usman fight is the next fight to happen for Paul?
Absolutely. I think Paul showed his level of superstardom on Saturday night, even from, when Foy Vance took the stage to sing him out, and the way he made that walk, very few people, if any, we've seen that be done for in PFL. PFL are behind Paul Hughes as one of their biggest stars that they have. And the only fight there to make is Usman or Magomedov. Like, at the end of the day, there are other fighters at lightweight in PFL, but I'm not dying to see Paul Hughes versus Brent Primus. I'm not dying to see Paul Hughes even against AJ McKee again. I think the only fight that makes sense is him versus Usman or Magomedov. Usman or Magomedov told Paul Hughes to go get another win if you want to come back. Paul Hughes went and done that in emphatic style. And let's be honest, like, Paul Hughes is unscathed. He didn't eat one shot in that entire fight. He's after knocking out Bruno Miranda. Like, why not turn around soon and do it this summer? Why not do it in maybe July, August? Paul Hughes versus Usman or Magomedov too. And look, do it in Dubai, do it in Belfast, but I think the fight has to be made one way or the other.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great shout. Can you see Usman going back to Belfast?
Not particularly. I don't think that would be his call, but if PFL want to make it look like the biggest show and make it look like, you know, their guy, Paul Hughes, is the biggest star they have, doing in Belfast, seeing that hometown crowd reaction, that's what the fans want to see. And look, Paul Hughes has cemented himself as one of the faces of European MMA, cemented himself as the face of Irish MMA at the moment. I think he's the guy who the people are behind right now, and people are absolutely dying to see Paul Hughes fight again. I feel like because he finished it so quickly, people didn't actually get their fill. They wanted to see more, especially after how sort of, I was going to use the word barbaric, but it wasn't quite that, but how like high skilled and highly contested as his last fight was. I think people were dying to see more of Paul Hughes, not gone in 60 seconds Paul Hughes. You know what I mean? He's the people's favorite. He's the referee and the judge's favorite because he sent them home early. He's the promotion's favorite. The SSE Arena, it was on wheels Saturday night, and that's down to one man and one man only, and that's the big news, Paul Hughes.
Yeah, and then I saw after he got a bonus for the performance of the night, and then he said that someone on the undercard should get that, and then also a bonus that he was given to a mental health charity. So Paul Hughes is doing everything right now.
Yeah, he's making every single PR move in the right direction. And I'm not saying what he's doing is a PR move, but if you're his public relations guy, or you're, from the Chosen Advisory, Tim Simpson, you're one of his managers, you'd be like, just keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? Everything he touched turns to gold right now. And yeah. Paul Hughes is the man in PFL right now. He really, really is. And a lot of the times with PFL, you feel like they're homegrown stars like Dakota Dacheva, like Brendan Loughnane. They've all sort of had a lot more fights than Paul. They've done a really good job of making Paul feel like a PFL fighter, even though he sort of earned his stripes in Cage Warriors. But they've done a very good job of making him feel like a PFL fighter.
No, he's definitely on fire at the moment. Like, how soon would you like to see him back out in action, Ross? Because, like, I'm sure PFL would love to book the SSE Arena again this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I think get him out there July, August. Why not? Whether it's Dubai or whether it's Belfast, I think he needs to be out there as soon as possible.
Yeah, because because the ticket prices were like cut in half for the SSE, and I remember when they were in Dublin, they were doing some tickets for like €10. So I think they're going to want to go more back to Belfast right now, especially having Paul, compared to maybe trying to go to the Tree Arena.
Well, at the moment, the biggest star fights and trains out of Belfast, Ireland. So that's where you go. You go where the star is the biggest draw.
Yeah. Not very much like the UFC, man. Not very much like the UFC. But no, Paul absolutely smashed out of the park. Like it was, he barely even broke a sweat. So as you said, I'm sure the fans are like, would have liked to seen a bit more. But look, when you're that good, man, you're that good. And then Ross, in the co-main event, Alan Philpott was back in Northern Ireland competing for the first time in a long time, and he's taking on Lewis McGrillen, who's seen as like PFL's next big star.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan Philpott trained over in Australia out of the Lions Den, trains the next gen in Ireland. It was his homecoming, and he was given a really tall glass of milk fighting Lewis McGrillen. Lewis McGrillen is obviously one of the PFL guys. He is someone that they've sort of they've strapped their rocket ship to in terms of their socials and their media, and they're really putting everything they can behind Lewis McGrillen. Look, he's a top talent. He's very, very exciting to watch. He was in Fight of the Year last year against Dean Garnett. I think it was a very tough ask for Alan Philpott. I thought Alan Philpott actually won round one. I thought he looked really, really, really good. And then obviously, come the second round, Lewis McGrillen got the rear naked choke. It was an excellent fight. I feel like both fighters' stock probably rose in it, despite the loss for Alan Philpott. And I think the talk of the town then afterwards was, word broke before the event that Caolan Loughran had signed for the PFL, which is unbelievable news. Great move for his career, I think. I feel like they'll make him feel like the star he is. I felt that UFC were sort of treating him as another fighter, I think, and he's not that, especially not in this region. If you can fight in this region, again, you could make him out to be the star that he is. And I think with that being said, him versus McGrillen, he said they've sparred before, make that fight in Manchester. That's a big, big fight. That's a fight that will get the fans interested in. That's a main event caliber fight.
That's a huge fight, man. That is an absolute enormous fight. Well, first of all, it's great to see that Caolan's now with PFL, because obviously we weren't sure where he was going to go. There was a few options. Would he go back to Cage Warriors? Would he go to Octagon? But like seeing that he's very good friends with Paul, and that his brother Tiernan trains with Paul, it just feels like it's a good fit. And like Caolan's still very new in his career as well, even though you could call him a UFC vet now at PFL. But
yeah, exactly.
The McGrillen fight is the one that, like, once we both heard that news, we text each other, and I was like, give me McGrillen versus the Caolan, and you're like midway making the poster bud, and I was like, there you go, like that is the fight PFL have to do. PFL, they come here, they put on a good show like that, they just have to keep the ball rolling. They need like another big fight for people to look forward to, and McGrillen, Loughran, like that is the one to do, definitely in that division.
Yeah, and shout out to both guys. Massive fans of both. I think the McGrizzler is something else in terms of a personality to look out for, and then the Don is just probably underappreciated on this island. I think Cage Warriors world champion, went 2-2 in the UFC, won his last UFC fight, contract wasn't renewed, signs with the PFL, and I think he's going to make big waves there.
I'd agree. What would you like to? He said he was going to be doing like more like super fights and not really enter a tournament.
Well, I think he said he'd have 2 showcase bouts. It was sort of what they did with Paul Hughes when he fought Bobby King and then AJ McKee. I think they're looking for a similar route for Caolan Loughran as well, that he'll fight 2 well-known people as opposed to putting them in a tournament. I don't necessarily. I'm not like vying to see people in tournaments all the time. The only reason I want to see them ever in a tournament is to win the cash prize.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, that is the thing.
Yeah, the thing, I'm not like, oh my God, I hope he's in the tournament. I'm more so like, I hope you're in the tournament that you could win 100 grand. Or
and stay active.
500 grand, whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, it makes the show way better to record when Irish fighters are active. And that's why we are here every week. So if you are new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. Ross, there was some other Irish fighters on the card. Who would you like to start off with first?
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to Decky McAleenan and Sean McCormack. Both were unfortunately didn't get their hand raised. I thought Decky McAleenan turned Gino Vancinas from a striker into a grappler very, very fast. Decky tagged him really hard, nearly got him out of there. He did say afterwards he's going to move back down to featherweight, but Decky got an absolute rapturous ovation when he made his walk out. I thought that was an incredible scene to see, and I feel like it was nice to see him get his flowers after being a veteran in the sport for so many years. And then Sean McCormack, he was 3-2 going into this fight, and he was taking on Hyder Khan, who was 9-1. Hyder Khan missed weight by. Well, I originally thought this was meant to be a middleweight fight. Then it looked like it was going to be like a catchweight fight, and Hyder Khan just continued to miss weight. And Sean McCormack, game as anything, took the fight anyway. And look, Hyder Khan looked at 4 or 5 pounds bigger in there on the night, and Sean McCormack gave it his all. And look, I think 1 or 2 little tweaks in his game, and the fight could go the other way. But 2 absolute gamers in there, and hopefully we'll see them back in the PFL cage sooner rather than later. And then next, I did want to touch on was for me, this is one of the finishes of the night. Owen Sheridan knocking out Malachi Edwards. This was an absolute clinical knockout. He rocked him early in the fight. Owen Sheridan looked absolutely fire in this fight. And I'll be honest, Owen Sheridan, like to us, like he talks big game. He says he's this, he says he's that, and you sort of want to believe him. And for me now, he's shown it. He's shown that he is a high level striker. He is a high level mixed martial artist. And the injuries and setbacks he's had, you've always sort of questioned whether, will he be the same fighter ever again? And that guy went out there and put on an absolute display against, another great guy who was equal in size to him, and also like came out of a great gym, Manchester top team. So that was absolutely incredible to see. And then the curtain jerker, the one that set the tone for the event, their face off was really intense. The chat between these two was, really captivating. Corey McLaughlin versus Nahom Weddy. This was a massive one. I felt like it was more of a must win for Corey McLaughlin than it was for Nahom Weddy. He was coming in here on 1. I think this goes to show being the more active person can be more important at times. We haven't seen Nahom Weddy in maybe 2 or 3 years in MMA cage. Corey McLaughlin was super active, and I thought he looked really, really composed in this fight, really, really good. And I felt like the ring rust definitely showed on Weddy, and you sort of saw as it got to the 3rd round where he got a bit more into the fight. He landed some really good elbows, and he caught Corey open. But I definitely had Corey getting his hand raised in this one. But both guys are super bright futures, super elite talent. Can't wait to see them get back out there again.
Yeah, no, that fight was probably the fight I was looking forward to the most between Nahom Weddy and Corey McLaughlin, because both lads just new into their careers, and look, the winner takes the other person's spotlight. And there was actually more on the line than probably a lot of people even noticed, because sometimes you look at an early prelim and you just don't take any notice of it. But look, Corey got the win there, and I'm sure both lads will be looking forward to another PFL event to get on. And then also a shout out to Claudio Pacella from SBG Ireland, who got the win as well in the lightweight tournament. Ross, the thing is, right, we were at Cage Warriors there a couple of weeks ago, and there was about, I think it was over
17 Irish fighters.
Well, I was going to say about over 15 gyms associated with the event. And looking at this one now, it was really only 3, like SBG Ireland, Fight Academy Ireland, and then IMA Gym for
Team Tara as well.
Oh, and Team Tara, sorry, 4 gyms, sorry, excuse me. Like when PFL came to Ireland, they said they were going to get more teams involved. Like it would have been great to have more gyms involved as well. So hopefully that happens more over the future as well.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's a touch of where there isn't actually a hell of a lot of fighters available unsigned who would like to be there. Like if you look at a lot of the Team Rhino pros are already signed to Cage Warriors. A lot of the other Fight Academy Ireland fellas are already signed to Cage Warriors. There's not a hell of a lot of pros between SPG Charlestown, SPG Nace. Like Andreas Binder was signed there. Obviously, he's gone and done tough now, so we don't know where he's going to fight next. So there's like few of the gyms that a lot of the Team KF guys are signed to Cage Warriors. So it's not like there's pros out there who are being left off the cards, one might say.
Brian Manning.
Well, Brian Manning's definitely one, but I haven't seen him actually express the interest of wanting to go to PFL. I'm sure PFL would bite his hand off to have him.
That's true. Well, even
So-
Jack McGuire fighting over the weekend as well.
Yeah, shout out to Jack McGuire. Obviously, we touched on that with Brian. And look, maybe that's where he goes next. Maybe Jack McGuire is
Yeah.
the next one up.
Well, the thing is, you could argue that John Mitchell was meant to be on the card as well, but his opponent pulled out. But look, I mean, the more gyms, the better.
Look, 4
Yeah,
gyms
like-
isn't bad. Like, to be honest, to have a card. I think like Cage Warriors took the piss with the amount of fights they put on for us, if you know what I mean. And I mean, took the piss in a good way. You know what I mean? Like that was an absolute feast of fights for Irish
That
fight
was,
fans,
yeah.
as opposed
that
to
was
like look, I suppose like also fighting this weekend will be Jordan Bradshaw, who's fighting in Aries fighting championship in France. You know what I mean? So like, I think Irish MMA is in probably the healthiest place it's been in a long time. I feel that there's fighters in all the top organizations across the world, and I think like that's actually what's best for Irish MMA. See Will Fleury, you obviously have your Reese McKee and Sean O'Banley and Gary in the UFC. You know, your Paul Hughes and Co in PFL, and then an absolute abundance of talents in Cage Warriors, like we touched on there, 17 fighters who fought on that Cage Warriors Dublin card. So look, they're all the best promotions in the world, and there's an absolute rake load of Irish fighters fighting in all of them. So long may it last, and yeah, may the rise continue. As they say, rising tide lifts all ships.
There you go, man. There you go. So we are going to just move into the world of the UFC. Ross, over the weekend, Jack Della Maddalena defeated Bilal Muhammad for the UFC welterweight title. The funny thing was, in the build-up to this, Ian Gary could have potentially been fighting for the world title. First of all, what do you make of the thoughts? What do you make of the fact that Ian could have fought for the world title, and also that the UFC have a new world welterweight champion in Jack Della Maddalena?
Well, look, he put himself in the position to be there. He weighed in at 168 pounds, to say the least, as well, which is very impressive considering he was just off fight camp. So obviously, he that diet is clean and on point. And look,
after that win.
If he didn't do backup fighter, I don't think people would be talking about Ian Gary in line for a title shot next. I still don't think he's necessarily next anyway. I think Sean Brady's probably ahead of him, and I think Islam Makhachev's ahead of him. He moves up, and I think Shavkat's still ahead of him, depending on when he comes back. But look, if Ian Gary wanted to jump the queue, that was the way to do it, to put yourself in that position. So I think Ian Gary's stock is on the rise at the moment. Long may it last. Also, I think he seemed to have got under Jack Della Maddalena's skin, which is probably a positive. If Jack has any say in who he wants to fight next, I'm sure Ian Gary is high up there on that list. And as for the fight itself, look, Jack Della Maddalena got Bilal Muhammad to play his game. This fight played out on the feet. That's where Jack Della Maddalena is better. He really bust up Bilal Muhammad. Bilal Muhammad is a tough customer. He's hard to get out of there, and he proved that. But at the end of the day, I thought it was a comfortable enough win for Jack Della Maddalena. He is the rightful UFC king at the moment, and I think his next opponent is already decided. I think it's going to be Islam Makhachev. It looks like he's going to move up. I think the only thing holding off Islam moving up was Bilal being champion. That seems to be gone, and Islam is going to chase greatness and try and go up to 175 or 170 pounds and try and become the welterweight king.
Yeah, that would that should be very interesting. Would you prefer, like right now, say if you're the matchmaker, would you rather make Islam Makhachev against Topuria or Islam Makhachev against Jack Della Maddalena?
I think there's a lot more heat in Makhachev versus Topuria right now, to be honest. I'd rather see that.
Yeah.
But look, it is what it is. It'll be interesting to see, because obviously Makhachev went toe-to-toe with Volkanovski, and obviously Jack and Volkanovski would do a lot of rounds in together, and it's going to be very interesting to see, because obviously Jack Della Maddalena is far larger than Volkanovski, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and see if see how things go. And it looks like Craig Jones, who's one of the best jiu-jitsu grapplers in the world, you know, we saw it play out in the Volkanovski fight. We've seen it play out now against Bilal. Like, does Craig Jones have the answer for Dagestani wrestling? Who knows? We'll have to find out.
Let's see if Max Lally gets called up to that camp as well. Ross, also in the co-main event, Valentina Shevchenko got the and still. Ross, where does Valentina go from here? It feels like she's done everything in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, especially the way they were talking about Amanda Nunes coming back to fight the winner of Kayla Harrison versus Juliana Pena. I feel like, Valentina Shevchenko is another option there. She could fight Juliana Pena, try and become bantamweight champion. But also Natalia Silva went and beat Alexa Grasso there earlier on that night. I think that's the most obvious fight if she's still fighting that division. But again, it's not necessarily the biggest fight on name recognition.
Yeah, that's the only issue. Right, Ross, a couple of other things that we have to say as well. This weekend.
Well, one more as well. Jose Aldo hung up the glove, so you have to give that a mention.
Shout out to Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
What was your favorite Jose Aldo
absolute
moment?
legend.
What was your favorite Jose Aldo moment?
I actually, believe it or not, I know it'd be funny to say the McGregor thing, but I actually think him versus Mark Hominick. I think that was his first UFC title defense, and that was an absolute barn burner. I think that was actually in Toronto as well. So that was an absolute epic fight. That was the first fight after he came over from WEC, I think.
Yeah, he's an absolute legend. It was great the way he got his flowers after the Conor fight, because like a lot of people just didn't like him after Conor, but then the sort of newer fans like enjoyed it.
Also, I thought he was good. He was in with a good shout to actually get his hand raised on Saturday night as well.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was a crazy fight. Jesus. Crazy fights, man.
The King of Rio, baby.
The King of Rio. Who's the King of Rio at the moment, man?
What, no, Charles Oliveira, maybe?
Okay. All right. This weekend, the action continues, as always, man. No, it's keeping us in the job, man. Jeez. Gilbert Burns is taking on Michael Morales. Ross, this is a huge fight for the people tuning in who aren't aware of Michael Morales. Tell us what you think of him and how difficult of an opponent will Gilbert Burns be to the undefeated prospect.
Yeah, well, I think this is the litmus test for Michael Morales. Obviously, Michael Morales, undefeated, not well, to climbing the rankings. I think people were sort of tying him in with Ian Gary at the time, sort of saying like, who's got the higher ceiling. I think obviously Ian Gary talks more smack, which gets him more notoriety. But Michael Morales has some unbelievable striking. He's light and fast. He's quite a lean character. Long arms, big reach. Like his last win was over Neil Magny, which sort of puts him in there as, he's past one gatekeeper, and I feel like he's on to the next. He is an absolute monster on the feet. And look, I expect him to get his hand raised in this one. I think he's a young, hungry prospect, and it's going to be a tough night for Gil Burns. He's going to really want to get this to the ground and try and submit him at the end of the day. Like 17-0, Michael Morales, 12 wins by knockout, 8 first-round finishes. They're scary stats.
Yeah, I was just listening to Tom Aspinall on the podcast. What's it called? Give me a look at this.
Fight Disciples?
No. High Performance. And he was saying when he fights, he has that instinct. It's either kill or be killed. And some fighters you see these days don't have that instinct, but Michael Morales has that instinct. You know what I mean? Chimaev has that instinct. You know yourself, man. You know yourself.
And he's only 25 as well.
Yeah, like he's a bad man. Definitely check him out. Also, shout out to Paul Craig fighting on the card, moved back up to light heavyweight. There's nothing too crazy else on that card as well. Ross, there is more action from the world of Irish mixed martial arts before we wrap up the end of the show. We'll start off Aries on Friday night. Jordan Bradshaw finally makes his pro debut in France. That will be live on UFC Fight Pass. Ross, the CMAC athlete is definitely one to watch. Also that night, Darren Till is boxing Darren Stewart finally as well. Then just moving on to Saturday night, Cage MMA, Team KF's Omran Shaban will be competing on that card. He was on the Ultimate Fighter, so he'll be looking to get another finish at Cage MMA. And then Octagon 71, Dennis the Menace Frimpong and Shamrock, aka the Shem Show, will be fighting on Saturday night. Man, those guys are some characters. And this has been a character-packed show. And then also shout out to Cage Legacy Rising Stars on Saturday night. Ross, is there anything you want to say about all the action going down this weekend? Full of characters, man. Jeez.
Absolutely. I'm definitely excited to see Jordan Bradshaw. He, C-Mac have been on fire as of late. He'll want to keep that run going. The lads all look in serious shape. Gans Hickey Fitness is doing a great job on their strength and condition. So long way that last week. Even saw Trev McCain go in the gym there last week. So that's always good to see. And then obviously shout out to the Octagon boys. The Shem Show is always fun to watch. And then Dennis Frimpong, the Menace, is back. And I feel like his last performance was his best to date. So let's see, can he keep that ball rolling?
Amen, bud. Amen. So
guys, I suppose just want to say thank you for everyone reaching out over the last couple of weeks. If you have enjoyed the show, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Anything else before we say, Basmo?
And as always,
stay energized.
The Energized Show, up the Irish. It's the face that runs the place, Chaos Curtis. I want to thank the Irish MMA community so much for getting behind me. You up the Chaos Cartel.